just trying to make a little test package here, and I actually haven't used this new shaker box setup that I bought from that beekeeper over in Georgia. So I'm trying it out. It's pretty nice. It doesn't have the excluder built in like the other one I got from California does, but I'm sure I can just cut a little excluder and put it in there to be fine. So you definitely have to find the queen before you're shaking. So yeah, it's going pretty good. Shaking some brood frames, just shaking the whole top box, and we're gonna put them in the package, and I'm gonna put them in that trailer and try to seal them up for about 3 days, just to see what happens. What I do like about this setup is you can take out this top funnel piece here, and then I can just slide this trap door closed, grab it by the handle, and it just slides on out. See, it's got those little rails there, which is kind of cool. I think, whoop, they're very loose. But what you can do is just carry this around with you, and it's got 3 of these, you know, whatever they are, little cages, I guess. And so you can fill them up, go throw those in the trailer or whatever. And it's got another door down here, which I'm assuming open it up to shake into the package funnel, which then the funnel I'll dump into the package itself. So that's pretty handy. That's about 10 frames of bees there, 10 really good solid deep frames. I don't know if that's 3 pounds or not, but that's all I'm doing for now. Okay, so problem number 1, I just tried to use my bathroom scale to tare weight the funnel, because that's what you got to shake the bees in. So I want to take that weight off the package of the bees to find out how much the bees weigh, but the bathroom scales can't handle that tiny bit of weight. So I do need to order like a proper, more sensitive scale. We do have one in the barn that for our honey barrels. It's super accurate, and it weighs light amounts, but the thing is massive, and I don't feel like dragging it out. So we're just going to eyeball it for the first test round. I really just want to see if they're going to live anyways. I did manage to get the can filled and sealed correctly. It's got sugar water. See, it doesn't really seem to drip very much. So that's pretty cool. Real simple design, but looks like it's going to work well. I do have an old queen here. I think she may have been a drone layer, so I was going to pinch her, but I thought, you know, let me just do her in the package in case this goes sideways. I don't kill a good queen. I guess the queen cages just fit along here, and the workers should be able to come and feed her from underneath here, I believe. I don't know if I need to cap off this candy plug. I don't know if the workers can squeeze through those holes or not. I don't think so. But I do know they make caps for the plastic JZBZ queen cages that I use. I've just never used them. I think a lot of people use them when they're hanging the queen cages down into those wooden cages. The plastic ones, I'm not sure if it's necessary. I really have no idea. This is test number 1. And anyways, all I'm going to do is I'm just going to open this trap door here with the bees, and I'm going to shake them here into this. Well, it's got this larger funnel, and I guess it's going to go into that smaller funnel. Ideally, I would have tare weighted that, so I'd have that sitting on a scale, and then I would just keep shaking bees until we've got about 3 pounds of honeybees. And then I'm going to take this, and it should fit directly into my plastic cage, and then I'm going to take the syrup can and flip over, and then I've got a lid to snap on, and I believe that's it. All right, shook the bees, left a few. I don't know, I'm not trying to get everybody out. I'm leaving that door open, so maybe they'll fly back home. Their hive's just right back over there, so I'm sure they can make it back. Gonna remove this. I've got about who knows how many bees in there. I don't know. It feels heavy, probably because this thing is metal. And then I think you just dump it in like so, and hopefully they're definitely trying to get out. I'm gonna put my syrup can in. Watch out, girl, I'll squish you. And yeah, I guess that's it. Okay, so now it's done. I had to slide this little top on here. I guess stops the syrup can from getting out. Cool. My very first honeybee package I've ever made. It sure feels heavy. I mean, well, probably the syrup. That sucker feels like it weighs 10 pounds. I don't know if I've overdone it. Pretty cool. It's amazing these things can just go in the mail like that. I'm gonna go put it in the trailer, and I'm just gonna check on it every day and see how they're doing. I would love to see if they can survive for 72 hours in here, because if they can, you know, they're gonna spend 1 day being shipped in the mail. I'm probably gonna build them the day prior to shipping, and it's always good to have a wiggle day, I think, just in case there's a delay in shipping, or I need to cage them, or, you know, make them early or something. So if they can handle 3 days, that should be pretty good. It sure is noisy, but it does work with the generator. I I got a long enough extension that I can run it into our honey house here too and plug it in. But at least I know I can still run the AC out in the bee yard. That'll be pretty nice. Just gonna need some earplugs. Here's that package. It's, what today? Today's Saturday, and I built this thing on Friday, so they've been in here for 6 days. I still see a good cluster. Let's see here. Pretty quiet. I see a little bit of dead bees down there. Nothing enormous, not super significant, not in my opinion. Seems like the majority took. I still feel a lot of weight. I wonder if they have syrup. I'm gonna check, but so far so okay. All right, let's see what we have here. I'm kind of curious if any of that syrup survived or if the queen survived. That didn't work out well. The queen has escaped. Oh, there she is. Oh no. You know, I took this thing and I had a candy plug in here like normal, but I put a little beeswax on there, and you know, I had 5 attendants of bees or something up there, although there's more bees now. Queen's there. That's not good. So, all right. So I saw they make little caps for these things where you can actually physically cap them off, and then they have a little hanger to hang down in the cage. I had a few people call me and tell me that's probably a better way to do it, but first time, just kind of curious. Let me see how much syrup is in here. I've got the syrup can out. These things are a little tricky to snatch out of this, I realize, without dislodging the entire package of bees, but I still got some syrup in here. I'm going to empty it out, see how much syrup is actually left after 6 days. All right, here we go. Feels like a good amount. More than I was expecting. Not a lot left. But, you know, I almost feel like they might be able to make it another day. So maybe we can just say about a week for just a regular 1-to-1 sugar water. Yeah, maybe one more day. So I'd say I feel good about a week, but that's maybe pushing it depending on the cluster size. And I didn't weigh this package, so yeah, maybe it's 2 pounds of bees, and if I add another pound, it'll be less, but at least it kind of gives me a reference point. All right, I was able to pop this door open. See, they have these little latches here. That's kind of cool. This hinge is open. The bees are going loose. I don't really care if the bees get loose. I'm just really curious to how many actually died. They don't look too dead. Fine. Just kind of dump them in there. And there's a cluster. I'll check and see how many queens are dead in there. I mean queens, how many bees are dead once they settle. Okay, actually there's more dead bees than I thought. Look at that. That's a big cluster just dead. What I read online, and you know, again, I hate I have to go, I always tell people don't believe what you read online, but I just don't know anybody else is doing packages, so I'm really learning as I go here, and I'm unfortunately having to be like most other people and rely online on what I see on the internet. But from what I read is that as long as there's less than 1 inch of dead bees at the bottom of the package, that they're supposed to be okay. I mean, obviously you want 0, so that's more than 0. And I just don't know how many bees I really had in here. The next, I did get a new scale in, so I will try another one and actually weigh it properly this time. The queen did fly away. I do suck as a queen breeder, I guess. Thankfully, she was a drone layer, so I don't care. You know, she was a bad queen, and she flew back on the cage a couple times before I could grab her. And then after missing her about 3 times, she flew off and just didn't want to deal with me anymore. So I don't know if she'll come back or not, but that's not very many bees even really to, I kind of don't feel like that was 3 pounds, because we barely got like not even 2 full deep frames of bees. So yeah, test number 1, not particularly great, but I'll keep working on it. Here's a pile of dead bees just for kind of a size reference of what we lost. We kind of compare it against the cage, size of the cage. So again, not a tremendous amount. I mean, probably 2 good full handfuls of dead bees. It definitely wasn't a feed issue, and the trailer, I have a thermometer in there that's recording the temperature, and it never got higher than 69 degrees, which is still warmer than I want, but you know, it's been 90+ degrees out here in Florida, and that trailer's in full sun, no shade, and I still haven't insulated it yet. So next time I go to Lowe's, I will buy some foam insulation boards and try and seal it up a little better. And it gets colder at night, but it never got beyond 69. And honestly, every time I checked the package, the bees seemed pretty placid. They were all clustered up. They weren't like running around trying to get out. I even put a few minis in there and sealed them up for 3 days, and they seemed fine. I didn't see any die off there, so not sure. Just still needs a few more tests for sure. Okay, package test number 2. I've got my shaker can funnel. I did get a new scale. The scale is accurate down to a single gram, so it's more than accurate enough for my purposes. I've got about 6.18 pounds here, so I'm going to go ahead and tare this thing so we can figure out how many we can actually get a measurement on 3 pounds of bees for this package. I've done a lot more research, and I've reached out to a couple package producers. I'll be honest, it's a little bit hard to gather like really detailed information on this whole process. A lot of those guys are pretty tight-lipped, or they're, I think if you know them personally, but me not knowing a lot of them, just reaching out of the blue, they don't really give you the information I'm really looking for. One thing I did learn, however, is that my bee bus package cage here, these top grooves are for wooden cages, so you can have your California Mini, or you can do your 3-hole, those large 3-hole cages, and they're supposed to go face down, so the queen's facing underneath there, and the cluster is actually supposed to be able to go up here and feed the queen, so you don't need bees running around chewing them out. However, I prefer to use the plastic JZBZ queen cages. I don't want to swap over to the wood, so they actually have these little slots here. You see, there is a tether you can buy for those plastic cages, kind of like what I had thought when I made the first one, but I couldn't really remember. I did search around. They're not called tether, like, I don't know, they're not called cage tethers. They're called something else, I forget. Anyways, this little cap that does go over the top of the plastic cage has a little I don't know, a little string that hangs down. It's made out of plastic, and it's got a little 3-way split, like a little T. And what you do is you take that string, you pull it in here, and that little T at the top catches, and the queen cage will hang down with the cluster, and when you put the syrup can in, it'll actually lock that queen cage tether in place, so it won't slide out during shipping. So I do have an option. I did order those. They won't be in until next week, but I can continue to use my plastic cages, which makes me happy, and that should solve my queen problem. But just for this test, I'm just going to try out the wooden cage here too. May as well, just to see. Every now and then we have customers that are picky and they want wood over plastic cages. May as well find out if that does work, and I'm still curious if they can really feed underneath there. All right, we're going to try this again. Jeez. All right, so that was 3.24 pounds. That's definitely over 3 pounds. I know you want to be a little more. That's probably too much more, but not terrible. I'm gonna go ahead and dump these in here. Oh yeah, that's a lot of bees. Put the syrup can in. All right, those are locked. And I want the bees out of where the queen cage compartment goes. And I want to see if she can survive without attendants up there, which they're supposed to, but I want to see for myself. Don't go in there, girls. All right, done. Package number 2, probably built right. Guess I don't need that anymore. That definitely looks fuller than the first package, but they're a little riled up. We'll have to let them settle down. I also learned that this cover here is not, it does hold the syrup can and the queen cage in place like you're seeing, but that's actually where you're supposed to put the shipping label. I think that's what it was designed for. I was able to reach out to the designer, the actual guy who built these bee bus package boxes, Charles Linder. Trying to ask him some questions. He hasn't answered all of my questions yet, but I'm gonna stay on him till I'm pretty annoying. I'm gonna get my answers from the guy before I make a purchase with him. Although I really love what I've seen so far. He does sell them by the pallet load, and there's 180 of these per pallet. You know, they flatten out, which is really nice. And he told me the price was about $6.25 if you're buying them by the pallet amount. I'm sure there's tax and shipping cost in that, but I'm trying to figure out how much to charge for these things. So if this is $6.25, that syrup can at quantities of 50 from Rossman Apiaries is $1.50. Now that includes tax and shipping. I figured I got maybe $1 in the syrup. The queens are kind of already factored into the queen business, so don't really count the queen. So I would say probably roughly we got $10 in the equipment. That's the package, container, the syrup can, probably the syrup, depending on the price of the freight cost. If I buy these by the pallet load from Charles, could be higher than that. A lot of times when you're buying a pallet, it's got to come on a semi. They usually charge you several $100s. Even for a small pallet, it doesn't weigh much. It really can vary company to company. So could be $10, could be $15. I mean, it's not impossible. We could get up to 20, but that's probably high. I looked up Gardner Apiaries in Georgia. They produce a lot of packages. Now they're a massive operation. I can't compete with their economy of scale. But I kind of use them as a rough reference point because I don't know any other package producers nearby other than those guys, not commercials. So they're doing $108 per package if you're picking them up on small quantities. So that's a little low to me. I'd like to make at least $100 in profit per package. So I'm kind of leaning towards $120 for a package. That's not including shipping price. I've also learned that the best way to ship them is through USPS and actually not UPS. UPS has a policy where they have to be delivered in 1 day, and they only do UPS ground. They also has a policy where you're not allowed to have a liquid feed going through UPS ground. I've been reading their terms and conditions, although I don't know if anybody actually gets up there and checks, but I imagine if it leaks, you'll have a problem with them. And it seems like most package producers are selling these through the Postal Service. I believe they can ship priority mail. So that's probably the way to go. I looked at like the price to ship one to Utah. That's probably going to be our first little test one. It was like less than $30. And they should get there. They're averaging like a 3 to 5 day delivery time. So I found out that the syrup cans on average do last about a week. That from the other package guys I was talking to. And the bees can live for a little longer even if the syrup runs dry. So they also told me the best way to ship them is to ship them on Mondays, at the latest on Tuesdays, because they have to be shipped ground. You can't do air shipping anymore because I guess some of these broke open years ago on the airplane. So with ground transport, it can definitely take several days to get to a location, and the Postal Service, in my opinion, is very unreliable right now. So they recommend only ship these suckers on Monday. That way, hopefully they'll be there by Friday at the end of the week. So as soon as I get those JZBZ queen cage tethers in this coming week, I'm going to build one and try shipping it out and see how that does. I know it's really hot and it's summer, and most package producers are not selling this late in the season anymore. They're doing pickup only, but I just have to try it one time and we'll figure it out. Just kind of once I go through the process once, it's so much easier the second time. Like this package went smooth as butter, but that first package I had problems with. I'm still going to seal this one up in my air conditioning trailer. We'll see, a few days, maybe a week, to see how they hold up with a larger cluster size. I want to make sure that syrup can last probably about a week and that the queen survives and all is well. And that's really all there is to it. There's not that much. I think I figured everything out. So we just kind of need to iron out the pricing, and I need to ship them a little bit to get a feel for them. But it's not that complicated, honestly, at the end of the day. So there we go, package number 2, and I hope they will be alive in a week when I check on them. Here's something new I'm trying this year. We bought a DNA test for our honey from these Jonah Ventures. I know another beekeeper who was using this test kit, and I saw the results, and it looked pretty impressive. Unlike the state bee inspectors when they come and take a sample, and I'm talking about for my Tupelo here, they only test for Tupelo pollen and for gallberry pollen. Every other type of pollen is just listed as other. I've always wanted to know what kind of pollen and what kind of nectar the bees were actually collecting from all the flowers. So this apparently does do that. They'll give you a percentage of everything, whether they're getting whatever from oak, from gallberry, Tupelo. privet, doesn't matter. They'll give you the percentage of the breakdown. They give you these nice little sample kits. They got an app too, so you can scan the barcode. It logs all of the information into the app, so I can see my results there. I can even choose to make my results public, so it'll share that information with other people. I thought that was really cool. It was about $100 per sample, so I just want to sample the 2 potential Tupelo crops, although I'm pretty confident one of our crops is Tupelo. The other one I'm not sure of, so I'm just going to sample both off. It's going to take 4 to 6 weeks, they said, to get the results back, but that's probably still faster than the state bee inspectors. The inspectors were supposed to come weeks ago, and they still have not come around. And last year, even when they took the results, it took 3 months to get the results back from the lab. So we're just going to go private, and I love my bee inspector. I'm not knocking him. It's just he's got 500 beekeepers, and he's one guy, and I'm just not a major priority for my Tupelo sample. So we're going to just pay to have it, send it off to a private lab. Honestly, I don't think the cost is that much higher than what I'm paying my bee inspector to come and take. And we'll hopefully get some good results back. If not, it'll be interesting, and we'll publish this whenever we get it back here, and I guess about 4 to 6 weeks.